So let me show you what a spiteful, ungrateful family member did to my house that I own in Texas. She lived here while I foot the bill for a year. She didn't pay the bills. I stopped paying her bills, and because she had to leave, she decided that she was going to destroy the house.
So what do we have here? Apparently this woman allowed her sister to stay in his home, and she did not have to pay a single bill, especially in a time where a lot of people are struggling to pay rent. She allowed her sister to stay in his home, and when it came time for her to get gone, as I like to say down here in the South, she decides to trash the house. And so we're gonna take a look at this story and give our thoughts and opinions on it.
She poured paint on my baby books, all over my pictures, all over every baby book that I had for my two sons, all of my pictures from when they were growing up, everything. She destroyed my shit for no damn reason at all, because I couldn't save her anymore and pay her bills for her. This is what she does. It's just not fair because I didn't do anything wrong.
Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have grown up and have had photo albums and pictures that your parents may have had, and they love those pictures. That's some of the pictures that they bring out to embarrass you if you decide to bring company over, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if you look at this situation, just imagine that years and years and years of memories are gone suddenly because you decided to help out a family member. You were paying their bills, and when you couldn't help them anymore, they decide to not only destroy your belongings, they destroy your memories. That's a sick situation. But let's continue to dive into this story. She continues to give us updates after updates.
I posted the video because it was malicious and deliberate, and it was a personal attack on me. And over the past 4 years, I've been burnt by people I love and people that I thought loved me, family included. And I've kind of just, took the hit to the gut.
Now, this sounds like a woman who has been tried over and over again. And sometimes you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. But let's continue.
So prior to her moving in, my grown son lived there. And he made a nuisance of himself while he was there. And so I was going to evict him anyway, but she basically told me she was gonna move in. It wasn't asked or any of those types of things. And before I evicted my son, she would say things like, you need to kick him out so I can move in there.
And I do feel bad for her because she was in two bad situations back to back. Her son was in the house, and imagine having to kick your own son out of a house. You know, you grow up and then you want to do everything that you can for your kids, but your kids or your kid in this situation is not acting right. So you kick them out or you have them moved out. And then on top of that, your sister comes into the house and she is no better. And actually she's worse because she goes in the house and destroys the place. So she went from one bad situation to an even worse situation.
Yeah, and honestly, that shows her character. However, I will not put her name out there or her pictures so people can tear her apart. That's not who I am.
She is definitely taking the high road here, and I commend her because the internet is ruthless. And based on how many views this situation has already obtained, they would have absolutely destroyed this lady. Wherever she is, she would have felt that. So this is very commendable.
I can't even fathom this because I would never do something like this to anybody. I would never destroy their belongings. I would never make it a point to create a situation that, you know, is going to cost somebody. I mean, there's a lot of damages. And she pretty much made it impossible for me to sell at this point. But, and that was what I was going to do after my son moved in, or moved out of there. But that didn't happen, and she kind of just took it over.
So not only did she cost you in time and effort, she also cost you in whatever the cost is of that house, because you could have potentially sold that home. And not saying that you cannot sell in the future, but it's definitely now a bump in the road when it comes to trying to sell that house, because the time that it's going to take to actually clean that place and get it back up to where somebody would actually want to buy it, it's going to take some time. And you know how it is. People want to buy things now. People do not like to wait. And so you can potentially be losing out on a potential customer in this waiting process. But let's continue as she continues to bring new things to the surface.
I did call the police right away. I did. That was the first thing I did when I seen it. And my reaction to it was pretty subdued compared to my younger years. When my ex-husband went in and he seen, because he had to go in through the window, when he seen the room that he went into, he said, quote, "You're gonna flip your shit when you see this."
He wasn't lying. I think the most egregious part about this entire situation is the books, the photo albums, or whatever you want to call them, because those are the most irreplaceable. The house can be cleaned, things can be wiped up, things can be picked up, but you cannot get those photos back, especially if those are the only copies that you have. And so that's probably the most egregious thing, but he did not lie. And then why did he have to go in through the window? She must have had stuff all in front of the doors and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe the doors were locked at the time and she did that to spite them and kind of, I don't know. All I know is that part right there is the worst. But let's continue as she keeps giving us this update.
I cannot file criminal charges against her. It is civil. So, and the example he gave me was because one, she's my sister, and two, she was living there. There's really nothing that I can do. And basically, basically, he said, like, if you're married to somebody and you go buy a car and you bring that car home and that person destroys that car, your husband destroys that, or whatever, your spouse destroys that property, then you can't do anything because they have a right to destroy their own property. So that's where the civil part of it comes in. I have been keeping in contact with law enforcement and the courts and everything, trying to figure out my legal rights and at what point I could gain entry back into the house and not be in violation of that.
And so when I first heard this, I was kind of confused. So I decided to Google what's the difference between a civil and a criminal case, because it just sounds like this lady right here needs to just press charges against her sister and move on, because all of this is crazy. But let's look at what the answer is. Well, a criminal case is the state or the people versus the defendant. Usually it is a crime against society. And if you are guilty, you have to pay your debt to society. And that means that the perpetrator goes to jail. The civil case, rather than looking it as a crime against the state. We look at it as a crime against an individual, which she is the individual. All right. It might be the very same act of abuse was a violation of criminal law that you can go to jail for, but the act hurt an individual person. So that's you. File the lawsuit. Do that. I think I'm not the only one who is thinking that she should file those charges. That's how I feel about it.
I honestly, I don't even know how to say it, but I did not do anything. I didn't do anything other than I stopped paying her bills. Mind you, that house is paid for. The only thing that has to be paid every year is the taxes on it. All the bills were in my name, every single bit of it. So there's a long laundry list of exactly what she has done.
So the lady who is making this video dropped these text messages, receipts as she calls it, and she details a little bit more information about what went down before she went down and saw the home messed up. So what happened was she sent the message to the sister that was living in the house and said that somebody's coming down in order to get the stuff out of the house and bring it back to her because she wanted to put it in storage. The sister texted her back and was acting crazy, saying that the only reason she's coming down to do that is because the sheriff is kicking her out of the house by March the 1st. And then the sister goes on this rant about not wanting to pack her stuff up. I did not see where the person who owns the home said anything about packing it up, but maybe they talked about that a little bit earlier. It almost seems as if something is missing from this, but I think we get just enough context to see that she was basically going to go down there and get her stuff because she is selling the home. That's basically what is going on. I don't think anybody would get that upset about helping somebody pack up their stuff, especially if the person who you are helping has been helping you this entire time. So I feel like that's a small thing to ask somebody to do if you're literally paying for their bills and literally paying and helping them survive. Right here it says that she put criminal trespass on her, so she cannot come back to the property, and she has had no contact with her sister since June except for asking for the keys. And I guess that's why she said something about trying to get inside of the house. This situation is all over the place, but what I can say is that from what she has told us, she was somebody who cared for her sister. She allowed her sister to stay in the home. Not only that, she also paid for everything inside of the home, so paid for all the bills inside of the home. And then the sister got upset because she was selling the house. She did not stay in Texas anymore, and she wanted to just get rid of the house. She was going to take all the stuff and move it in storage. The sister got upset because I guess she was under the impression that her sister was like just abandoning her. And I mean, how long do you want somebody to pay for the stuff that you're doing and paying for your bills? But anyways, the sister felt like she was abandoning her, and her response to that was to trash the house. So I guess it was like, if I can't stay here and live here, then nobody's gonna stay here and live here. And I'm upset with you because you're leaving me out to dry, but I've been, covering you for so long. But anyways, with all that being said, let me know what you guys think about this situation. It is a lot of information to unpack, and there's still some things in here that are kind of confusing. But let me know what you guys think about this story. I will see you in the next video.